What is going on, my beautiful people? It is your boy Jace Ghost Phantom in this motherfucker. And right now, man, we're talking about how unhealed people utilize their trauma for their entitlement via justification and manipulation, aka being on demon time. Because the moment that people get born to this realm, get born into this world, and being in a low vibrational nature, anyways, being a demonic realm at this point in time, at this moment in time, it may transfigure, it may transform over time. And that's what this whole process is about. That's what these videos is about, and that's probably what your life experience is about, is to get you out of whatever survival mode that a person may be in and stuff like that, right? But during that process, a lot of the times people subconsciously try to weaponize their trauma, because a lot of times people get born into survival mode. Not everybody, people get born into situations that are unsafe, where they feel uncomfortable, uncertain. They deal with a lot of fear, worry, and just stressors in their environment that may, activate more so the reptilian brain and put them more so in a fight or flight mode automatically. So, they may grow up to be just kind of carrying this feeling, this influence from, and living subconsciously from this space or this place that's not really truly them, but it's just their mind being cluttered and overshadowed by their past experiences. So a lot of times, just when a person lives from that space, that'd be a person who hasn't healed yet, and not everybody does this, but sometimes people do this shit, and they try to take their traumas and their problems and weaponize it against people. But that's not everybody. Some people are actually very accountable, and they don't take their pains and throw it on other people. But a lot of the times, for the most part, a lot of people do weaponize these things against people. Yeah, I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that, blah blah. So let's get started without further ado. How unhealed people utilize their trauma for whatever they feel like they're entitled to, via justifications and manipulations, stuff like that, aka demon time and shit like that, right? So when an individual spirit is stuck in past negative experiences that overshadow their conscious perception of reality, right? Because we're just the observer, we're just the spirit, we're none of these experiences. We may go through these experiences, but we are not those experiences. We're just passing through to learn things and stuff like that, right? Because God will never give you something that you can't actually handle. Everything that's happening to you, you can handle it. And the very proof of it is that you're watching this video, you're alive up until this point and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of people kill themselves. My heart goes out to those people as well. Some people, life is so traumatic, so painful, that they choose to kill themselves. And unfortunately, it's just not the best route for your spirit to go. But my heart goes out to those people, and may those people find rest and peace, wherever they are and whatever they may be, for real shit. Yeah, when an individual spirit is stuck in past negative experiences that overshadow their conscious perception, it puts people into victim mode, because they are still in a deep subconscious way operating from those experiences that washed their mind, right? Without releasing those energies, influences, a person will continue to subconsciously operate from that space of keeping the damaged self-image version of themselves, right? Because a lot of people have a damaged inner child and things of that nature that's unhealed and things like that, right? So it'd be a lot of memories that need to surface, and a lot of things that they need to go within to uncover and clear out, right? It's almost like trying to uncover an archaeological artifact, which is your authenticity and genuality, under a bunch of dirt and under a bunch of sea moss, and then real shit. And all these thoughts and feelings may prevent a person from even getting there. But that's it's like it's not something you gotta fight through. You just gotta stop giving that paradigm energy and shit like that, right? Right. So their damaged self-image, who they perceive themselves to be, based upon those early traumatic experiences, without clearing out those energies that no longer serve them in the present moment. If a person is in victim mode and they are subconsciously rooted in early difficulties, experiences that's not even really theirs, from the perspective of a lot of the times parents and environment will take their own curse and throw it on their children and stuff like that, just because something has been done to them and they're angry and frustrated and they haven't processed it, so they throw it on their children and things like that instead of dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? So the Bible says, the sins of the father is passed down to the son and shit like that. When whatever happened to them, they might feel entitled to other people time and energy sometimes, right? Because they feel like, oh, someone has to take care of them, or they something happened to them, so they feel like someone else has to help them with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like when a person is in that survival mode, it's like having a broke type of spirit, I'm saying? It's like being broke esoterically, so they become like an energy vampire, and they gotta suck everyone's energy, everyone's time for their desire and stuff like that, and get everyone to cater to it. And when you don't cater to it, here they go on demon time, getting angry and frustrated. But that's we're gonna get there in a bit. So being in that survival mode and shit like that is basically like being in having your spirit being broke, because your spirit believes it's broke. It's like having a negative balance in the in someone's mental bank account, where like it looked like they lost something, but it's the perception of something being lost. They didn't really lose anything. What they lost was their authentic, genuine self, and they have to go back and uncover that. And hold on, give me 1 second. I put my light on. There we go. All right, cool. It's getting pretty dark in there for a second, you know what I'm saying? Because, life is pretty dark and shit like that. So, don't be afraid of that either. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it's like having a broke spirit, right? And that balance is in the negative. So having a bank account, but you're in debt to a bunch of experiences that you're still paying attention to and stuff like that. And the more you pay attention to these negative experiences, it's like increasing the interest on that debt. And so it's like you got to put more time and energy work to get out of that space and get out of that place, mentally speaking, right? And it's very possible to get out of that place. It just takes time and energy, because I've seen a lot of people do it. So I know I'm gonna do it, shit like that, right? Even though it's gonna take me some time, I know how to stick with the process, because I know everything in life is a process. Period. So it's what a Virgo once said: everything is a process, baby. Let's go. Basically, yeah. So rather than producing their own energy, they become energy vampires, and they rather look for an external source to compensate compensate some type of loss, right? And here's the thing: that loss is just subconsciously perceived and believed. So when people feel like something is missing, they try to go externally and get it, but it's purely just being damaged and not really reflecting and doing the shadow work to realize that, and not feeling satisfied and fulfilled. Because it's like people who are damaged, they feel like something is missing, they feel like subconsciously they are in pain, and it's like then they try to go fulfill that through some type of external person, place, or thing. Because a lot of the times people that have been done dirty, they try to do other people dirty, because that's how the world works, right? Dog eat dog world type stuff. And they keep that cycle going and shit like that, right? So damaged people basically, like, if you see these guys from the hood and shit like that, the only reason they punk other people is because they got punked too at some point. So they're like, oh, nah, man, I'm never going to be the punk again. I'm going to punk everybody. And, they sit there, mugging everybody, being tough, but they not really tough or anything like that. It's just hurt people. And it's like, it's just sad, because again, people just continue the cycle, but it is what it is. So when people don't process those traumas, they might weaponize it like they're entitled to something, and they might either manipulate for it what they believe in, right? Those experiences they went through and shit like that. This happened to me and blah blah. Because it's like when something happens to a person that's of a negative nature, they literally spend time thinking and feeling about it, and it becomes a part of their reality. And if it's a negative experience, they'll probably become a negative person subconsciously and shit like that, right? From the perspective of they're living from the perspective and the belief that something net bad happened to them, and it may be true, but do you want to continue to believe in that? Give that time and energy, because your mind will just recreate whatever it is that you perceive. Your mind just works on pattern recognition. Like, if it recognized an early pattern of being abused, of being hurt, then the only thing it's going to recognize is being in pain and being hurt. And eventually a person might even get like ideas of how they can do that to others, because that was done to them and shit like that, right? And it's like people get addicted to that. People get addicted to that external sense of power and shit like that, to the point that they might want to hold on to whatever it is that they desire and shit like that. And a lot of the times, whatever a person desire may have to do with like fleshly things. Like, desires are not even bad. Desires get a bad reputation. At least try not to be into too many fleshly desires, and ain't nothing wrong with that either. It's just too much of that when these things is gone. Like, for example, like people that got controlled when they were younger, a lot of the times they will try to control other people because that was done to them and stuff like that, right? But when other people don't want to be under your control, which is like stupid, no one even wants that in the first place anyways. Everyone is like an individual spirit, right? So they might try to do that to other people. When it doesn't work, they get angry and frustrated and blah blah blah. So it's just stupid. It doesn't really make sense. The only thing a person can control is themselves. The moment a person tries to control other people outside of them, the only thing it's gonna lead to is just anger and frustration and just being depressed and shit like that, because they thought they could do something that they really had no business even trying to do, type shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So what they believe in, right? And whenever the manipulation or power and control tactics don't work, right, they might either just walk away if they are a smart manipulator, or they'll just get angry and frustrated and hope you yield to that childish show of force, acting out animalistic natures rather than their higher natures, because their earthly mind and flesh overtook their spirit, and they logically justified with their left brain. And so, since a lot of people experience a lot of being yelled at, a lot of people experience being attacked mentally or maybe physically beat or things like that, a lot of the times they flesh might overrun their spirit and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They at least their fleshly desires and shit like that. Like, you know, I'm gonna do it to someone else, but I'm gonna control people. Yeah, I'm gonna con people too. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. But then, like, when it don't work, it just, you know, it hurts them more than anyone else, because they actually thought they can do something that they really had no business even trying to do and shit like that. You know, and make sure you like this video as well. Real shit. So yeah, acting at animalistic natures rather than higher natures, because their earthly mind and flesh overtook their spirit, and they logically justified with their left brain energies why they should keep that earthly low animalistic vibration or influence around them from their earthly experiences, right? Because a lot of these influences and these low animalistic vibrations and influences that people carry with them came from their earthly experiences. Before, they didn't even know that shit. It was probably just like an innocent child and shit like that. But that innocence a lot of the time gets robbed, gets taken away from them just because of their experiences that they had and stuff like that. So even people that are quote unquote being demons, they're not even really being themselves, and they just might not even know themselves and things of that nature, right? So it's like, I don't even look at them like bad people. I just look at it like, okay, oh shit, these are people that just need help. That's really all it is. Like, and it's like, with these shifts coming up, man, it's like people have no choice but to look at the truth of their reality and everything going on around them in these days and shit like that, you know? Yeah. And the thing is, it's like this, right? If people are going to choose to operate from those low animalistic vibrations and natures that they experienced early on as children and stuff like that, then some people are going to, you know, choose to be vessels of dishonor, and they're going to channel spirits from the low vibration, low demonic realm and stuff like that, right? Or, you know, if they're going to choose to be vessels of honor, they're going to be bringing about, you know, a higher nature, a more enlightened nature, you know, out of them just by doing the work on themselves and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, pretty much, I mean, I'll just say one more paragraph, because traumatized people, a lot of the times, they might not know it, but they are reiterating that same trauma, but it becomes them using their pain to try to pimp others, because that was done to them. So they try to create logical ways to go about it, right? So traumatized people, they really got pimped themselves early on. So they try to figure out logical ways to pimp others, because subconsciously, that's the space they are living from. And that's how they perceive reality. That's how they see reality. So they're like, oh man, you know, they come up with logical ways to do this, because, you know, desires are very subconscious and stuff like that. A lot of people don't even know what they desire and shit like that, right? So desires operate on a very subconscious level, and it just has to do with the root chakra. But that root chakra itself, just think about it like a sphere from like a metaphysical perspective, like a red sphere, you know, like your sexual gland and shit like that, right? A lot of the times, people's passions when they were children may have nothing to do with their early experiences, but that chakra gets replaced with thoughts and feelings and experiences and records from this world, and then people's intentions get hijacked, and they start to do things that are correlated with being in a low animalistic nature and vibration, and they start to live out that, and they become like a vessel of dishonor. Now, they might not know it, but, you know, again, like when you look at your experiences, if you're honest with yourself, you know, you can start to see that, damn, you know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. A person might not want to do X, Y, and Z, but that might be the only thing they know how to do. Because it's like a person might be extremely lost in their earthly experiences and in their fleshly experiences, to the point that they might not know their way back to their authentic, genuine self and shit like that, right? And that's what I'm here to do, help and shit like that. And that's what my boy MT33 is here to help, aka Master Teacher 33, aka Brother Will and shit like that. Go check out his channel too, real stuff. And yeah, man, that's all I really wanted to say for today. I think this was a pretty powerful topic, actually. You know how unhealed people utilize their trauma for entitlement and justifications and manipulation and stuff like that, aka demon time. And the person might not know they're on demon time ahead of time, but, you know, again, it would just require being honest with yourself and really wanting to get out of that. Because at the end of the day, you know, if people want to be vessels of dishonor, whatever being they're going to be resonating with in whatever realm that being is, that's the place they're going to go. And if people are choosing to purposely be devilish and shit like that, which most of this world is, then they're probably going to go to a very negative world. Because, like, there's a whole split going on between this earth and the new earth and shit like that. So it's like, yeah, people are staying on the old earth, people moving on to the new earth and shit like that. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's really up to each individual, because at the end of the day, your spirit salvation is really up to you, and can nobody save you other than you at the end of the day. So, with that being said, everybody, do your due diligence. The salvation of your spirit is in your hands, after all. I know the salvation of my spirit is in my own hands, and so it's up to me to take the actions necessary to put myself in the position necessary to go from point A to point B. Shout out to all the vessels of honor. Take care, everybody. I'm going to see y'all in tomorrow's video. Peace.